Right now, voters in 5 states are casting their ballots on another important primary day. In Michigan, voters will decide a primary race with ripple effects for Democrats far beyond their state. They're picking between Abdul El-Sayed, a progressive candidate looking to establish a base in a state Trump won twice, and Congresswoman Haley Stevens, an establishment favorite with the backing of party heavyweights like Senator Chuck Schumer. Both candidates are making the case they are the most electable Democrat for the general election in a pivotal race for control of the Senate. And my next guest has a new book that says 2026 is just the first stepping stone of a multi-year project for Democrats to, as he puts it, fight for freedom's survival. Joining me now is Ben Wikler, former chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. He's also the author of the brand new book, This is the Plan, How to End America's Meltdown and Save Democracy. Ben, it is good to see you. Let's talk about Michigan. What are the results tonight actually going to tell us about where the party is headed?
It's great to be with you, Alicia. And I think we're watching Michigan for the same reason why so many folks are transfixed with politics generally. There's a level of fury about how things are going in general that I think is going to express itself through primaries and through general election results. So as we watch, I think one of the things to parse out, there's the positions of the candidates on the issues. There's also this general sense that things are wrong, the system's broken, it's not working for people, and people want change. And I think whatever happens in the primary today, you're going to see the same kind of fury and desire to do something about the problem flow into the fights at every level of the ballot this fall.
The stakes of this midterm feel so heightened because of what it means, I think specifically for the fight for democracy, which is what your book gets at. You have a year-by-year plan. And for 2026, this year, you say the single most important priority is likely to be found in state governments. A lot of the attention today is going to be on the Senate and the House. Why make the argument that what we really need to be focused on is the state level?
So there's a reason why I put a fire extinguisher on the cover of the book.
I have mine too, type A student.
Look at that. I would love to see it. So many people watching right now share the sense that I certainly have, that there's a raging fire burning. And the guy in charge of the whole country is throwing gasoline on the fire. That his ability to break the American system of democracy and government in general depends on his ability to overturn elections that are run at the state level. So in 2026, if we want to have free and fair elections in 2028, we have to make sure that election deniers don't take over state government offices that would allow them to do what Trump tried to get them to do in 2020. The House and the Senate, absolutely critical to put a check on Trump, but the Constitution puts the power of election administration into the states. And that means at this moment, state Supreme Courts, governors, attorneys general, secretaries of state, state legislative chambers, they play a giant role in determining whether we go completely off a cliff or whether we have a fighting chance to ensure that democracy survives into the next decade and beyond. And that is step one of the battle plan, and this is the plan.
So today is all about Michigan. The attention next week will turn to your home state of Wisconsin. I thought it was very brave that you sort of laid out your brackets for which Senate races going into this cycle are the most likely for Democrats to flip. You start with Ohio. You then move on to Alaska. You give Iowa and Texas kind of honorable mentions, but I wonder where you think it is wisest for Democrats to be placing their limited resources.
I mean, don't forget North Carolina. I think you have to hold Georgia.
Oh, but
and
North
Michigan.
Carolina's a gimme, Ben. That's why we didn't say it.
Here's my argument in the book. You have to expand the field. You can't just do places that were battlegrounds in 2024 or blue states, because there just aren't enough states. There aren't enough states with easy to reach Republican senators, which means you have to go to places where Republicans won by double digits. That doesn't mean you win all of them, but you do have to fight across the board. The thing about this level of volcanic rage in a public that is so sick of the war in Iran driving up gas prices, of the tariffs, of all these things Trump has done to make an unaffordable country even less affordable for people, is it means that there are folks both who are tuned into politics, who are ready to vote for change, and people who would like to never think about politics who are going to vote for change. And that means a bigger map. But the other side of the coin is once Democrats win, then they have to be ready to put term limits on the U.S. Supreme Court, abolish the filibuster, ban partisan gerrymandering nationwide. If you don't change the system itself, we're going to wind up right back where we are right now in a state of emergency. And that's the longer term plan in the book. And that's why I think a bigger map is a critical part of the fight that we have ahead of us.
So speaking of Senate maps, NBC News reports you're considering a Senate run in 2028. What's going to help you make that decision?
Well, Ron Johnson is a flaming total disaster train wreck for the country. His problem with the Medicaid cuts is that they weren't big enough. He wanted to cut even more than $1 trillion from healthcare. For myself, I will decide what to do in the future. My number one goal right now, and it's the thing I urge other folks to do the same thing in the book, is to make sure that this fall we win all of the offices that are critical to ensuring democracy's survival. We have very few days left. We have a scant 3 months and change. And this, I think, really is an existential battle. It means you should focus on the things that are on voters' minds in the biggest way, which especially is an affordability message at this moment. But the stakes in making sure that that lands and that we stay laser focused on how to deliver for working families across party, across race, ethnicity, and geography, that we deliver for them, the stakes in that fight will extend to whether my kids and your kids and future generations have a say in who runs their government. This is an existential moment for the country.
It is, in fact, an existential moment for the country. One of the things that I think is so interesting about your book is that we often act as though saving democracy is the only existential threat. And if and when that is over, then we can all move on and scurry off into the sunrise. You say, actually, though, we're going to have to contend with the even bigger challenge of the fact that you now have a populace that does not believe the system is working for them. So multiple existential threats on the horizon. Ben Wikler, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Alicia.